Welcome to the I Work For Him podcast. I'm Michael Miracle, producer of the I Work For Him radio program, the voice of the faith and work movement. Our mission is to transform the workplace of every Christian into a mission field. What does that look like in your workplace? Let's find out right now.
Hey, you've tuned into I Work For Him, the mouthpiece of the faith and work movement. We're your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg.
It's a great day today, and I just wanted to highlight about our YouTube channel. So on YouTube, you can find I Work For Him. Just type in I Work, the number 4, Him, and you'll find our channel, and you can subscribe and get your notifications so you don't miss a single episode that we record via video as well as audio, Jim. It's a fun way to really engage with our guests, so I hope that you are joining us on YouTube.
If you want to see the facial expressions that go with the certain changes in tone of voice that I've got, you got to go out to YouTube and just look for I Work, the number 4, Him. So what's the response when someone tells you they were chosen to serve the lifestyles of the rich and famous? Well, someone needs to do it. What if that someone who is chosen happens to be a Jesus follower? How much better a Jesus follower serving alongside those who have so much that they don't know how poor they really are. Not saying all rich folks are lost, but many have their faith in their stuff and not the Lord. Along comes a young business professional from Naples who's learned how to remodel condos into places of peace and perfection, and you have our guest today. No pretense, not even a Mercedes in the driveway, just a Toyota Tacoma. Justin Ford has a calling on his life, and it's to serve the ultra-rich and to love them through construction to Jesus. I can't wait for you to hear his story and the remarkable story of the ministry that feeds him and holds him accountable day to day. Justin Ford, welcome to I Work For Him.
Thank you so much, Jim and Martha. I really appreciate it.
You didn't notice I was paying attention to your vehicle in the parking lot when we had breakfast a couple weeks ago, but I'm like, if you'd have showed up in a Mercedes, I'd have called you out on it. Not that there's anything wrong with driving a Mercedes, but it says a lot more when you drive a Toyota.
Well, funny enough, it's actually my father's vehicle, but I actually drive about a 7-year-old Chevrolet. So anyways, it still fits.
There you go. That's right. Justin, you run a contracting business, a construction business, and you have a bunch of employees and subcontractors. How did you learn to connect your faith in your work?
So I first saw this actually through my father. So he's been an executive in construction as I was growing up. And he was always known to be very peaceful, to be a different leader because of his spiritual walk. And he was still thriving in a very aggressive commercial world. And as I came to surrender my life and my future to God, like he continued to open up doors and to different mentors, Christian mentors and ministries such as I Work For Him and similar that continue to give me the tools and clarity needed to integrate my faith more at work.
So what does it look like every day for you to interact with your customers, the vendors, and your employees, and how that works with living out your faith?
So early on, God really instilled in me about fountains. And so like Proverbs 18:4 says, the words of the mouth are deep waters, but the fountain of wisdom is a rushing stream. And through that, like something that kind of resonated with me is fountains and streams, they don't move. They stay where they are and people go to them to be fulfilled and or to be refreshed and renewed. And as a company, we've really created this culture, even with subcontractors, all these different things, to really become the best versions of ourselves. And through that, I've been somebody that people can come to for like mentoring or help or advice or clarity. And it's really just been an amazing opportunity when people come to you. You kind of have a different ground to speak to others and speak into their lives. And then ultimately it ends up to the question of why. Why are you different? Why do you have peace in these times? And it's just an amazing platform to be able to speak about God. And it's really just helped us to be different overall in construction. I think construction has been the same mentality, just that same kind of energy around it of being aggressive. And we really just fight that tremendously in everything that we do. And so it's just really awesome to keep hearing why, and then to be able to explain that. It just kind of gives you a different platform, a different way to approach it.
So why do you think God called you to minister to those through construction, to those who are wealthy? Why did he choose Justin Ford?
So early on, it was actually like secular reasons that why I thought I wanted to do what I wanted to do. And then so like just from the ground up, even 8 years old, I was drawing buildings, wanted to be a developer, and I saw kind of wealth and those things growing up. And but really, like as I came to realize my faith and get closer with him and have a true walk, like I realized it's a really neglected group of people. And it's mostly because people think they don't need them, or they're intimidated by them. They're scared. They have everything. They don't want to listen. Typically, they're successful because they are somewhat disagreeable. And I just think people just ignore them. And I really think the opposite. And it's because they have everything that they really realize they have nothing. And so these are some of the most empty people. And I've worked with many billionaires, and they're really the most empty people. And so in that, you can really speak into them. And as long as you're just open, I just think it's just an amazing mission field.
So what do you see as the biggest need that the clientele that you're serving? Beyond their building needs, right? In their hearts.
Absolutely. And this is, again, obviously I'm very young. And so at a young age to be doing what I'm doing is nothing but a God story in and of itself. And so through that, they really just need trust and authenticity. And I think that everybody around them, I saw it constantly as I get personally with them and spend time with them. Everybody that they meet wants something from them. Mm-hmm. They want something from them. They want to extract something. So they're constantly analyzing, what do you want? And so when we focus on just being honest, being authentic, like following biblical principles, they slowly trust you. And that's why we just have this amazing relationship with every client we have. And I just think they're craving that authenticity because they're so used to people being so fake around them.
Yeah, they're used to being surrounded by leeches. People, they want a little piece of the action that they've got. So, and that's a common thing that I've seen among the wealthy, is that their stuff distracts them from hearing the voice of God, because they got so many things pulling in multiple different directions. How do you think you build peaceful places? I mean, you take condos, you remodel them from not the ground up, but from wall to wall, ceiling to floor. How does your design speak into that piece?
I think the largest thing is really we're so focused on the experience. And the experience throughout the whole process, everybody knows construction to be stressful. Everybody knows construction to be intense, and everybody knows it to be just something that's just very difficult to deal with. And so in that, I think that we kind of provide a very peaceful experience. Like, we kind of take that away from them, and we just really make sure their needs are met and just create this area of peace that, again, like, as I said, they kind of just continue to ask questions, continue to ask why, and give us this amazing platform to say why we're different. And I think really, like, again, we have, experience in our website, experience in a lot of our language, because we're so intentional with that. We're so intentional on figuring out who they are, meeting them where they are, and really just really being authentic. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people don't take that for what it is, because being authentic to us is really saying something without an agenda. And even like I caught myself actually an hour ago, I asked a team member to like, what are you doing in an hour? Because I need to help. But that's actually not authentic. I actually have a different agenda. It's, no, I actually need this. Are you able to help me? And so with that, we do that with our clients. So just really having no agenda in everything that we say creates this just real peace around it. And as clients would describe, we care about their needs more than they do. And we really just take that to the nth degree. And I think the other part of it is just, we're not doing this for ourselves. We're doing it for God. And with that, we have a different energy, different foundation. We're
talking today with Justin Ford. If you want to check him out online, fords-experience.com, fords-experience.com. Maybe you live in the Naples, Fort Myers area, and you'd like to have a condo remodeled by Justin Ford. Check him out online. You're listening to I Work for Him. We'll be right back.
You know the kind of person that always tells you about the latest trends or the special deals around town? Well, lean in, because here's a message from that kind of person. The Awaken Podcast Network is the place to be. Go to awakenpodcastnetwork.com and unlock God's purpose for your work with help from some friends. You will find a gathering place of podcasts that provide simple tools, faith stories, and conversations that will inspire and equip you to vibrantly live out your faith in your work today. Go ahead, check out awakenpodcastnetwork.com and then be that kind of person and tell a friend.
Hey, welcome back to I Work for Him. As today we talk with Justin Ford. He hails out of Naples, Florida, and contracts in a way that is just, he's a contractor, general contractor, rebuilding condos across the beautiful west coast of Florida. Justin has got such a great experience. You should check him out online. Fords-experience.com, Fords-experience.com.
So, Justin, running a business and growing it can be very difficult. What kinds of mistakes? You said you're young, but you also said you like to be authentic. So I want you to be authentic right here. What kinds of mistakes have you made in the process that we can maybe hear from and learn from?
So my greatest weakness that I've just really kind of focused on, or at least the greatest weakness I'm currently aware of, is really being a conflict avoider and being kind of the sales and being very personal and those things. I just avoid conflict. And while that can seem really good in certain situations, it really hurt me in a lot of others. So it prevented me from having the conversations I believed I needed to have. And as well as I didn't have confidence in God speaking into my life. I knew what he was speaking, but I would just mitigate it. And I would jump into business relationships very quickly without fully trusting God when he's telling me like, hey, maybe not. And I would still just, do it because I'd be, happy-go-lucky. And that really, it really wreaked havoc in the beginning of the company. And as well as not having those hard conversations, it kept team members that should have moved on earlier, those kinds of things, and really kept me from guiding the team and creating this consistent vision. And I think through that also, the clients felt that, people pretend to not pretend, but the truth is, you need to be authentic about your inauthenticities. And so in focusing on that, that's why I'm so intense on it.
You need to be authentic about your inauthenticities. That was a whole mouthful and a sermon involved there. There's just something you could preach on that. All right, but it's so often, running your own business is, when we sat down and had breakfast, you mentioned that you're working 7 days a week and over 100 hours a week. How is that sustainable, and how do you protect your marriage and your kids from all of that?
Well, I just think most people are very lazy, and it's really easy to do that, but no, absolutely not. That was a complete joke, but it's really not. It's absolutely not. And it just, there's seasons for everything. And I think I was using that as an excuse to kind of being able to dedicate myself at that time. And really, it was only through accountability and having those Christian mentors that I mentioned before kind of speak into my life. And I really kind of fought them on. I'm like, no, but I do need to do this. It was only when I actually just accepted what they said and then reanalyzed, then I've been able to reduce that greatly. And, hiring new people, bringing on new things. We actually do have some belay people we're bringing on to kind of help with other needs that I shouldn't even be dealing with at all. And
hey, that's a plug for one of our great sponsors, belaysolutions.com. Way to go. That's fantastic.
Absolutely. No, they are phenomenal. We actually just got off a call with them. Absolutely incredible. But so really, it was really just an excuse. And I found that just being more diligent in my calendar, I'm actually getting more done in a much less amount of time. And so really it's not sustainable at all. And I think we all find excuses and being just being totally authentic. I think we use it to kind of medicate and kind of keep ourselves from different things, but it's definitely not sustainable.
I love to hear the intentionality, but also the vulnerability that you just said. I had to listen to some other people speaking into my life. And, it's very easy to want to push back when you're especially, running things and getting things done and you feel like you have to do those things. To hear you say that it's actually better now that you're having better management because you listen to wise counsel. So what else do you have in your life? I know that you have something else in your life that God has really intervened for you, that's been a connection to a ministry that has probably helped in this area as well. Tell us about Rise Up Kings.
Rise Up Kings has been absolutely incredible. And it just was, I was really praying for something. And I came across Rise Up Kings that you even have to kind of go through an application process and these different things. And it's really currently geared towards business owners, but they're opening up some other things. And it's like a 3-day event. It was in California. I believe it's in Texas now. And it was really intense. It was, a lot of physical, strenuous things, very mental. All these kind of different things. And it really, and you're with 15 other men or 14 other men. And it really, you're more vulnerable than ever. You're more authentic than ever. And you really kind of went through this training that just really, honestly, invigorated me to realize that we really are in a war with evil. We've become really complacent as Christians. And I just think that with that, we don't realize this is a war. We don't realize that sin is crouching at our door. That is literal thing. And so we really got to put on our armor every day. We have to, instead of waking up at 4:30 and going to the office, I'm waking up at 4:30, 30 minutes of scripture, 30 minutes meditating and journaling. I have not missed a day since that event, and it's just changed my life. And so it really just invigorated me. When I don't want to run in the morning, I picture picking up a sword and a shield because that's what I'm doing. I'm fighting the flesh. And after that, the accountability, by normally 5 a.m., I have 3 other guys texting me, how am I doing? Am I staying? Am I doing good? All these different things. So the accountability has just been impeccable.
So
that's just been a big part of it.
I love that, because that was something that was just new in your life. And when we were sitting down for breakfast several weeks back, talk to me about how that's impacted your workplace and the people that you work with.
It is completely different. Everybody around just even knows that I'm actually, they expect to be, I'll even get emotional. They expect me to be more aggressive, and actually came back more peaceful. And so in moments where I normally would get heightened, I just not, because I just know that I can also handle everything and know that I'm also not doing it on my strength, because I spent time in the Word that morning. I have brothers that are keeping me accountable. I have people that I can rely on. When I have a hard time, I walk out and make a phone call, because I have people that I can surround myself with and be totally vulnerable. And I just can't express how important that is. And but all around in the company, I just think that, things that I always said I wanted to do, I always said this, we're just doing it. We're just doing it. Hey, there's no more excuses. And so that's just been, I will really get emotional. It's been absolutely incredible and really life-changing.
So riseupkings.com is the ministry that got you started, really that took you to a whole new level in being a leader in your organization, and brought a level of accountability that is unprecedented for you, Justin Ford. riseupkings.com. Who should be checking it out?
Currently, right now, it would mainly be business owners that are men that also they require married and to have children. And so they're also doing other events, because there's like a Rise Up King convention that's going to be kind of for anyone. And they're also even doing a Rise Up Queen. So it's constantly developing. So I would say everybody to continue checking it out. But for business owners that are just in a rut, or this, honestly, if you just have some things you're just not talking about, I would just recommend it highly right now.
That's riseupkings.com. It's changed Justin Ford's life. It could impact your life as well. Check it out online, riseupkings.com. We're talking with Justin Ford today. If you want to check out his story and see his business in action, go online to fords-experience.com, fords-experience.com. We'll be right back with more on I Work for Him.
Want to build a profitable side hustle that impacts people with truth and healing in themselves and their leadership? Then look at becoming a certified leadership coach with Giant. Giant has been in the leadership space for over 13 years and has over 500 coaches in over 127 countries. Their coaches are being hired by Fortune 500 companies and organizations like I Work for Him. Jim and I took the Giant Sherpa training under one of these great coaches to become leaders worth following. Giant gives you everything you need to start your own coaching business from scratch, like hands-on training from top-level coaches, access to an all-in-one online platform to run your entire coaching business, and you get to join a thriving community of coaches around the world. To get started, Giant is hosting a coaching business workshop to help you learn how to build a successful coaching business. This workshop is 100% free, and you can reserve your spot by going to giant.tv/I Work for Him. If you're ready to impact people and get paid to do it, go to giant.tv/I Work for Him. That's giant.tv/I Work for Him.
Hey, welcome back to I Work for Him. As we talk today with Justin Ford, fords-experience.com, fords-experience.com. Justin just got done telling us about a ministry that's made a huge impact in his life, riseupkings.com. We invited Skylar, the founder of Rise Up Kings, to join us today. He was unable to join the call, but you can check it out online, riseupkings.com, and look for an interview with Skylar, probably in 2022. Martha.
So, Justin, you just laid it up. I guess I need to ask you a back question. Like, how long have you been in your position?
So I started this company almost 3 years ago.
3 years ago. So you have been building it up and working very hard at it and pouring yourself into it. And yet very recently, God intervened your life with Rise Up Kings, and just this time that you were ready to listen to Him, to kind of shift some of the things you were doing. Although your heart was, I believe, already going in the right direction. Speak to us right now, just as far as, how you see that God had been preparing you to be ready to make some changes right now.
So take joy in the trials of many kind. And that came just to fruition so strong. And I really was already in a place that I went through these trials, a lawsuit that was just frivolous, all these different things that I had success from, just meaning that I saw God's hand and He really spoke to me. And so through that, I think my heart was understanding his influence and his impact. And so I was more open because I just had all these visceral experiences that he gave me to be my foundation. And so with that, when I saw this Rise Up Kings, I am not a physical person. I really didn't exercise anything about it. And it's pretty physical intense. And I say pretty, that is a very large understatement. I did things that I never thought physically possible for anyone, let alone myself. And so with that, I just knew God was there, and I just felt that. And he just gave me this foundation for the last issue I had, which is I doubted myself. And he just showed me again, do not doubt yourself. Listen to your voice. You're focusing on me. You're doing the right thing. Listen. And if I really had just listened to him and listened to the strengths he's given me, I really could have prevented so many things and done so many things. But at the same time, I'm more grateful that I was able to experience that at such a young age, and just the impact I'm going to have is just extremely exciting. Again, all 100% because of him.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's a great question and a great answer. All right. So let's head back. You've got a lot of life left to live. You've got a wife, Elena, and 2 kids. What kind of advice can you give our listeners on how to grow a business but not sacrifice those at home that you love the most?
So one saying we had even at Rise Up Kings, which has been so influential, is there's always more in the tank. And so I would get home at 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, and it's so easy to say, oh, I'm too tired. Oh, I'm too this. Like, I have such a good excuse. I've been at work since 4 a.m. and all these things. And now I get home and my body will feel that. And I'm just like, nope, I can keep going. And you can hear my voice shaking because it's just been so changing in my kids' lives and my wife. And it's like my daughter will come up and say, Papa, I'm so glad you're home. It just melts you. And it's just because it just no more being tired. And I was leaving the house this morning, and one of our things for Rise Up Kings is, pouring into your wife every single morning by 10 a.m. and they follow up. And so this morning I'm leaving the house and she goes, can you take the garbage out? And this is real. I go and it's 2 cans, 3 things on dollies, all this stuff that had to be hauled to the road. And I instantly got angry because I'm like, I have to go to work. I caught it in 2 seconds, and I actually put on a sweater, put in my headphones, and sprinted back and forth and used it as a workout, and came in and then cleaned the kitchen afterwards. And so I would just say there's always more in the tank. And to be intentional, to be focused, you can change your kids' lives and realize your circle of influence and just realize the impact they're going to have on their families. And I just think having the foundation of that it's life-changing. It's life-changing. Just knowing that what you're doing is an infinite impact for the kingdom.
It's so powerful to hear the accountability that has been built. And because we need that in our lives, sometimes we just need somebody to challenge us a little bit more. But because of that, think about how many marriages are being strengthened, how many lives are being strengthened, how many organizations, all of the staff, the employees. It can have such an amazing trickle effect, and your influence over those around you every day, even without speaking it, is so powerful. So, I hope that each one of us, we look at our own lives and say, what is it that I today need to be vulnerable about? If somebody were to speak into me and challenge me, would I listen or would I push back? Because I know for me, my first reaction is not often to be like, oh yeah, please give me more of that, So I think that's for each one of us. We think that we can do it on our own, but thank you for being so vulnerable with us and sharing how God has been using you for so much good.
Yes, thank you,
Absolutely.
Justin Ford.
Thank you both. Thank you.
Make sure you check Justin out online, fords-experience.com, and check out the ministry that's making such a huge impact in his life and the life of his family and the life of his employees and customers. RiseUpKings.com, RiseUpKings.com. You've been listening to I Work for Him with your host, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. We're Christ followers. Our workplace, it's our mission field, but ultimately, I work for Him.
Did you know that God has a calling on your life? It's true. He's called you to bring Jesus to the world. For some, that may look like a pulpit or a foreign mission field, but for most of us, it looks like a construction site, a cubicle, a hospital, or a classroom. Wherever it is that you work, live, volunteer, and invest, that is your mission field. To learn more about integrating your faith into your work and retirement, check out our books, I Work for Him, She Works for Him, and I Retire for Him, by going to iworkforhim.com/bookstore.
Thank you for listening to the I Work For Him podcast with your hosts, Jim and Martha Brangenberg. Please visit iworkforhim.com to learn more about connecting your faith and work, to join the I Work For Him Nation, or subscribe to our weekly blog. You can also follow us on social media at I Work For Him to stay up to date and meet our guests. If today's message spoke to you, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast platform. Your review will launch more workplace missionaries across America. That's at I Work For Him and online iworkforhim.com. I work the number 4him.com.